Hey, listeners, welcome back. I hope that you had a fantastic week and that you have been enjoying episode 1 with Nancy and, of course, episode 2 with Katie. They're both fabulous individuals who are making their mark in their neck of the woods. This week, I have 2 episodes for you that's going to drop. So hang on to your seats. Stay tuned to this dial. The question for today is, how do you get into tech? Do you believe that you need to have mathematics to succeed in the tech field? Well, let me tell you. In fact, Astrid's going to tell you. She's got a liberal arts background, and she's going to share with you her story on how she got into tech. So really, our question for today, and I will repeat, do you need mathematics to succeed in the tech field? As March is finally here and International Women's Day is around the corner, I just want to wish all the women out there a happy International Women's Day. And to the men who are part of the community as well, thank you so much for your support for now and to posterity. In today's episode, I am delighted to have Astrid Wieland beaming in from Vienna, Australia. Now, I recorded this interview back in 2021 for the Techno Startup podcast, and I've decided to republish here on this podcast because there are so many valuable nuggets that I think you would enjoy. Astrid works at Microsoft currently in the small and medium business sales team. In this episode, we talked about how she accidentally landed in the information technology field after studying business, and how she successfully developed IT Girl and Woman in Tech, which is an international organization. Astrid is on a mission to inspire people like her, women who have their eyes set on the tech world to get in. So, listeners, I invite you to listen because some of the advice that she's given is not just for the tech field. It can be used in other industries. Okay? So, without any further ado, I'm not going to dilly-dally. We're going to get straight into the interview. But first, I just want to ask you to hit that subscribe button. Yes, go ahead, hit it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, hit that follow button because you don't want to miss an episode. And I want you to be part of our community. Yes? Now, let's get into it. Welcome, Astrid.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, I know that you have so many golden nuggets that you're going to share with our audience just based on, your experience in the corporate world, as well as everything you're doing to be of service to the IT community, especially when it comes to women and girls.
Yes.
All right. So let's give our listeners some of your backstory. How did Astrid become the woman that she is today?
Well, actually, my intention was never to end up in IT. In fact, I was very passionate about languages and actually followed my passion there. I was studying abroad and focusing on my studies in economics. And only by accident, I landed in the IT world and am now there since many years.
I love this accidental entry into industries, right? Because you just never know where your career and life journey takes you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your career pivots, when you can start as far back as, university or high school.
Yeah, so actually, as I mentioned, my intention was never to end up in IT or in a tech career. Since I was a child, I was very interested in languages and wanted to see the world and travel. And I actually did my education based on this passion. So I switched schools to have more foreign languages that I could study. I studied and lived abroad, and also my studies in international business were actually chosen because it was the study where I had the most foreign languages. So my entire studies were in English, and I was also studying French and Russian next to it. I was living in France and in Sweden. And actually, when I was looking for an internship during my bachelor studies at first, instead of looking for a company that I would be interested in, I set myself the goal, I want to go to Sweden because I've never been there. I thought that the country must be so beautiful. I wanted to learn the language. So actually, I was looking for companies in Sweden where I could do my internship. So companies that are internationally, because obviously I didn't speak Swedish. And already back then, I ended up at a small IT company in marketing and sales for the German-speaking markets. And well, I didn't really know a lot about IT. I mean, of course, I had a laptop at home and those basic things. But we actually sold CRM programs, so customer relationship management programs to customers. And I had no idea about that back then. And after 6 months, when I finished my internship, I soon forgot about it again. So it wasn't that back then I knew now I want to do an IT career. No, it was more an interesting experience in marketing and sales. But somehow IT found me again during my master's studies when I was looking for my internship there, and by accident ended up at Microsoft, where I'm currently working as business application specialist now.
Well, that's excellent. I love how you explain that journey, doing work with CRM, because that's, of course, the back office stuff, the integral data analytics, anyone needs, when they're doing pure sales and business development. And so, you ended up with your journey in Microsoft. And so tell us a little bit about, your journey in terms of, how do you use technology for good within a big corporate setting like this?
What I love about working at Microsoft is that our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And it may sound a bit, I don't know, interesting for a tech company to actually have such a mission statement. But we created this mission statement long before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, it just made so much more sense, even more sense than before, because it was the moment where we and I personally in my job could show my customers that we really care about them, and that with our technology, we can actually enable them to still follow their goals and achieve their goals while being maybe somehow hit by the pandemic, not being able to work from their offices. Maybe a lot of production sites needed to close. I had one customer where they were producing food, and they were so afraid that COVID would hit them at the company and they would not be able to produce food for the Austrian market anymore. So we enabled them with our technology to make sure that even if cases appeared, they would still be able to fulfill their personal company goals. And I think for me, it was really beautiful to see what technology can do as a tool for others to achieve their goals and not as the goal per se, you know?
So you're talking about the back office process in terms of the business application that the companies use to stay on task.
Yeah, I mean, many different things. So one is, of course, where do I have my data and how can I make sure that everyone can access the data no matter where they are working? Other things were simple things like video meetings or online meetings. I mean, so many companies were not ready yet for a complete remote office. I think we all experienced that. And it is different. I mean, even for us, where we were always used to do home office and so on, it's just something different if you're at home 24/7. So many different opportunities, I think, where we could support. But yeah, having a good view of your customers and also having your business processes laid out in a way that you can easily access, and everyone at the company, no matter where they're sitting, always knows what is happening at your customers. I think this is definitely key for success in the long run.
All right, that's awesome. So when we're talking about remote culture, right, you're used to it in the sense that you've worked remote for several years, you know. Companies who, you know, are adapting, you know, in terms of creating more connectedness around teams, you know, how can they achieve that?
One thing that even we have learned during the past year is that communication is key. When you're in the office, a lot of things happen in an informal way. You meet a colleague, you quickly exchange on something, and a lot of things happen that way. But when everyone is sitting at home, I think being transparent as a team lead, but also as a team member, is even more important. And studies show the hybrid work will stay, so we will never completely go back to the office. So I think one key takeaway from me is to really enable your team to have this informal communication even in a remote working area. So either create a morning stand-up that everyone in the team knows who is doing what this day, or we, for example, created weekly coffee meetings where we just had like nothing business related, but just a virtual coffee where you would chat just like you would do when you would be in the office, and create these spaces for people to make sure that they stay connected and also they feel still being part of a bigger company and a bigger goal. I think this is really important.
What are some of the trends that you're seeing now, you know, with the quicker adoption of technology?
I think a lot of customers finally saw that technology can really help them and can solve their issues in the future. So many discussions that we had over the past years were just redundant because suddenly there was this situation where they couldn't go to the office, and suddenly they needed to find a way of how to work from home and how to enable their employees. So I think this reactive way of looking at things has really changed, and people are getting more and more into this proactiveness. They want to be prepared. They want to proactively think, okay, what could happen next? How can I enable my employees to be productive even if they work at home? How can I also make sure they find a good balance between work and private life, even if they are working from home? How can I ensure that this always on culture that many of us are living still gives them enough freedom to also have a private life? And I think one step that we can take is to have goals, goal-based company targets. So what I mean by that is that, for example, at Microsoft, my manager isn't asking me every day what I'm doing, because we have created and agreed on certain targets that I need to achieve. And on a regular basis, we're checking in where I am based on these targets, if I need help in some of these targets to achieve them, if there are other things or other people that can maybe help me. So what we are doing is we create these annual goals with the company. Then we have quarterly check-ins, official check-ins with our manager. And we have weekly or bi-weekly one-on-ones with our manager where we can discuss if we need help somewhere. And I think that in the future, this is much more effective than just saying to a person, well, you have to be here for 8 hours a day, because it doesn't matter. And if I need 6 hours a day and other days maybe 7 or 8 or 9, that's perfectly fine, because I know where I'm working towards. And I think this also gives the people personally more flexibility to do the work the way they feel comfortable with, and they are actually more productive.
I like that, having targets, whether that's annual, as you said, and having those regular check-ins. And micromanagement, it's never good, because people need to feel empowered and be creative within their workplace, right? So that's a great example that that you've provided there with what your organization is doing. All right, let's change things up a bit and, get into some of the service-oriented things that you're doing, Astrid. I know that you are involved in building women in information technology, women and girls. So tell us a little bit about that journey and how you got started along that path.
Yes, so I joined the IT world in 2014, so quite some time ago. And to be honest, many times in meetings, at events, in panel discussions, I was the only woman. I'm not sure, if you're listening and you're also in IT, I guess you know this situation where you're entering a room and there are only men. And I was wondering back then, where are all the women in IT? And actually was looking for a network that I could join to exchange with other women in the IT industry. And I talked to a colleague from a partner organization and asked her if she knew if there were any networks. And she said, not really, but if I want to create one, then she would be in. So this was the kickoff moment for the new IT Girls, our community that we founded together to connect and support women in the IT industry across job titles. And I think this is really important because there are already a lot of good networks for specific areas in the IT world, like women in AI, for example, or women in coding, but we couldn't really find a network that is connecting the entire opportunity in the IT industry. So our goal with the new IT girls is to show the diversity of this industry and also make a societal and economic impact to change the image of women in IT and to show the vast amount of possibilities in the IT, because you don't have to be a coder to go to IT, or you don't have to be super technical. You don't have to always have loved math and therefore be in IT. I, for example, hated math my entire life. So I think no one would have thought that this is the logical path for me. But with the change of IT and also digitalization, and digitalization being part of every single job nowadays that is created, I think there are so many possibilities for women to enter this field and be successful in it. Because if we foster a diverse environment, we can be much more creative. We can actually be more successful in terms of profit and also idea creation. And I think if we inspire more women to take the leap and follow a career in IT, we can actually all benefit from solutions that would better fit our needs as well in the future.
I love it. I love that you united the group across all of the potential job titles within the IT industry to show that, that vast area, right? And you talk about, changing the image of women in IT. So how is the image, the before and, your intended message that you want to convey?
Yeah, I think at the moment, a lot of women and girls are not even considering going into IT because they have a certain image in their head of maybe, I don't know, a guy sitting in his office, it's dark, there are pizzas everywhere, and he's just looking and staring into his computer all day long. And also, I think from a skills perspective, many people, female or male, are still considering and connecting IT with certain skills that they would need. But in fact, I think that also when we look at the World Economic Forum, every year they're naming top 10 skills that will be needed in the next years. And if you have a look at them at the moment, first of all, there is technology use and technology design in it. So as you can see, it will be part of every job, but there are also a lot of other interesting skills that are needed and where maybe women find themselves more than in this typical technology part. For example, complex problem solving or critical thinking, creativity, leadership, resilience. Those are all among the top 10 skills for 2025. So I think if we manage to show more people that everyone can bring something to the table, and especially by having different people with different backgrounds at the table, we will actually create more and better solution. It might take away this fear of women maybe to enter the workforce. And another point I think is that if you can see it, you can believe it. And many girls or young women who are considering maybe going into IT might feel that they would be the only one. And with the new IT girls and also other networks, I think showing role models and showing that there are already others who did this journey and with whom you can change, actually can also change this image and take away the fear, so that more and more women actually want to enter IT as an industry.
Yeah, I love that, you mentioned the World Economic Forum, some of the skills that, they mention that's needed, right? And those soft skills, those leadership skills, the creativity skills, the resilience skills, which are really natural to a lot of women. And I also love that you say you don't need to, be a math person, right? A person who loves mathematics to be involved in IT. And I think more people need to hear that message, because as you said, there are so many applications in working within an organization, an IT firm. Take for instance, your organization, which is a huge organization, and there are so many different components in terms of departments that are doing certain things, whether it's the sales and marketing department or the operations department or you name it.
Absolutely.
You tell me.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that a lot of tasks and different job titles actually involve so many different skills where women might feel more comfortable to bring them in. So almost all of our projects or customer projects are having a project lead, for example, who has to have these organizational skills, bring in the right resources at the right time, know and understand what the customer needs. Me personally, for example, I'm in sales, solution sales, and it took me quite some time to understand that my ability to translate what the customer needs into how our technology can solve that is such a strength, because there are people who are very good with the technology, but they just don't understand the customer language. And with my background in economics, I'm actually able to bridge those two worlds. And it really took me very long to understand that this is so important. So I think this is something, for example, where you don't necessarily need a lot of technological background. I mean, you have to understand the technology, you have to understand what it does, but it's more important to actually speak the customer language and be able to solve their business issues instead of just trying to sell an IT solution.
I love it. I love what you just said. Listeners, be the bridge, right? Just rewind that and take it in again. Oh, so is the new IT Girl a regional group, or can anyone in IT join from anywhere?
We are so happy about every woman who wants to join us. We are based in Austria, and I have to say, in that regard, actually, the pandemic helped us to even grow, because nowadays we're having all our meetups virtually, some of them in German, some of them in English, so anyone can join. They're for free. So all you have to do is register via Meetup and join us, and that's it. And there are so many international women. We had women from India joining us, which was so cool to see that somehow you hit the nerve, at other people, and you actually fulfill the need that was there to, connect people, connect women, and really show that we can all encourage each other and be there for each other, and maybe be this final push, if you're afraid of doing something, maybe you just need one woman telling you you can do it, and then you will be ready. And I mean, if we can be that woman for someone else, I think it's beautiful.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. That's awesome. So, if our listeners wanted to connect with the group, how do they do that?
I think the easiest way is via LinkedIn. So our official name is hashtag the new IT girls. Just type it in or type it in your browser and I'm sure you will find it. Also, of course, via myself on LinkedIn, feel free to connect and I'm happy to send you all the links.
So now let's move on to, with the work that you've been doing, right? You've had people who've touched your life. Can you think of one person who's been pivotal in your career journey who has helped to change that trajectory in some way?
It's maybe not someone famous, but one person who definitely influenced my career path was a woman at my company because as I mentioned before, if you can see it, you can believe it. And she was somehow this role model for me, where I thought, okay, if she did it, then I can do it as well. And she was also kind of a sponsor for me. So I think if you have and find one person who believes in you and sees something that maybe you don't even see yourself yet, this really was a game changer for me, because especially if you start your career, sometimes you think, I'm not ready for that yet, or I still have to learn something else. But then there's this one person who tells you, Astrid, I will put you on this project. And then you grow while doing it, and you can actually see, okay, I do already have the skills to achieve it. And I think such a person is invaluable.
Absolutely. Having that person in the workplace who believes in you, believes in your ability, gives you those stretch assignments. That's so important. That's awesome that you've had that in your journey. And what would you say is your superpower?
I think my superpower is really to create this connection between different people. So um, I'm a very positive person. People call me sunshine because I'm always the one bringing harmony. And I think centering people and motivating people to achieve a common goal, I guess that's my superpower.
I love that you say you bring in harmony, right? So let's get into the rapid fire questions, How do you set the tone for your day? Put a pep in your step and a pride in your stride, Astrid?
I started to get up at 6 a.m. every morning this year, and to really use the first hour of the day just for myself. I'm drinking my coffee, and then I'm usually doing something for my personal or career development, be it learning something new, reading a book or so. And then, due to the fact that we're still in home office and I do not have to travel to work, I actually spend an hour doing yoga and meditation every morning. And this is just such a nice start into the day, because then it's usually 8:30 and you have already done 2 hours just for yourself. So whatever happens that day, you already took care of the most important thing in your life, which is yourself. And I think that's, for me, the perfect start into the day.
I love that you said that. You've already started caring for the most important person in your life. I love it. And we know how music helped to change our vibe and our vibration, our energy. What music do you have on your audio player?
In the morning, I usually love something motivational that brings me in a good mood. So also during yoga, we usually dance to a song just for 5 minutes, because even if you don't feel like it and you're like really tired, just do it, just turn on your favorite music and dance for 3 or 5 minutes, and it will completely change your day. So for example, currently we always were listening to the song Brighter Than the Sun from Colby Calais. It just brings you in a good mood, I think. And then while actually working, I usually listen to something more classical or calm, like I can't really concentrate if there are lyrics while working, because then I would always sing along in my head. And I think for just, I don't know, different moods, I love musicals and Disney songs.
All right, that's cool. Well, I love a lot of Disney movies myself. You know, having two young kids and a 10, it's mandatory.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I love that you said you like Brighter Than the Sun. I will check out that song, Brighter Than the Sun. I don't think I've listened to it yet, so that'll be one I'll add to my playlist.
Cool. Happy about it.
All right. So also, you know, we do a lot of things to feed our mind, right? So what book do you have you can recommend to our audience, you know, that has really impacted you in your life, whether that's a business, leadership book, or any other book you wanted to share?
I think one book that I recently read, and which was somehow shocking for me, was Invisible Women by Caroline Credo Perez. It's about how women are simply forgotten so many times when it comes to development of new products or services. It goes from anything like your phone that is too big for your hand, or that women can rarely reach the hand luggage in airplanes, to things that are more life-threatening, like car safety, that is still based on a fictional male person, or also medicine, where since so many years we're discussing that it needs to be gender specific. And I think this was really eye-opening for me. Another book that I really liked was Lean In from Sheryl Sandberg, because she talks about how it is to be a successful woman in business, and how you should take this seat at the table, and that you're allowed to take it, and you're even obliged to take it, you know, to make a difference. And I think this was also really good. And from a fictional perspective, the two books that I read recently were from Margaret Atwood, The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments. Those were just, yeah, really, really good, I think.
All right. So do you read paperback or online?
I actually still read paperback books. I try to read online, but it's not for me somehow. I don't know. I love the smell and how of books and how they feel, and I love how they look in the shelf and everything. So I'm just a paperback person.
That's cool. That's cool. I've found that, you know, I've ventured into audio given the limited amount of time, you know, managing work and the household. So, but I love that you love paperback books, because I'm definitely going to get back to those once I get a bit more time back. And it's really carving out that time, right? Time management, which is so important right now to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we've talked quite a bit, and I really enjoyed our conversation, but we really have to wind this up. But I do hope to have you back again in the future to tell us a little bit more about your progress of building up, you know, the new IT Girls group, and you know, whatever trends that you're seeing in the industry.
I would love to come back and have another conversation with you, Arinia. It was really nice.
If there is one last few words of wisdom you want to give our listeners here, what would it be?
I think throughout your career, there will be times where you have the feeling that everyone in the room knows more and has more experience than you do. And the one advice that I would like to give to you is to remember that every single person has something to bring to the table, and it might be exactly your different and new perspective that can actually make the difference. So always remember that your strengths and your personal experiences can make the difference.
You heard it here, folks. A serious golden nugget as you listen to this episode. Rewind and listen to this again. Your perspective matters.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much once again, Astrid.
Thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure.
All right. Awesome. Listeners, was this an awesome episode or what? If you love this episode, please hit the follow button on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. You can even go one step further, rate and review the podcast. Let me know what you think of this particular episode. And also, share it with a friend. Yes, you've got that friend who needs this. Share it with them. Right now, I'm taking in guests on a rolling basis. So if you are a dynamic leader, a dynamic entrepreneur who are making an impact in your neck of the woods, I would love to hear from you. We are 46 episodes in, and I have guests from all over the world: Canada, United States, Europe, in there, the Caribbean, and much, much more. So definitely send me a note if you want to come on the podcast to share your story. After all, we're all humans. And as humans, we inspire each other to grow and to build ourselves up. And it's only you and I who can do that. And when I say you, the collective you, because I'm not the only podcast out there who is spreading good information to help individuals elevate in their business, in their career. Right? So, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I appreciate your feedback. And I hope that you get revived in your current adventure. As well, for some of you who are thinking of the next adventure, I hope that you're motivated for this in 2023. I am your host, Irene Rousseau, and this is Live with Irene Stories.